You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
All right, that was a reaction from Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. You typically will have those responses. Let's go to Illinois. Congresswoman Robin Kelly, she joins us right now. Congresswoman Kelly, I'm sure you sat there and you were wondering what world Senator Tim Scott was speaking of, because it certainly is one different when you believe in the word called facts.
Well, it's just so disturbing because I don't remember him coming out and talking about Trump in the 4 years that Trump was in office and all the things that he did. And when I think about, Whip Clyburn trying to pass the Charleston loophole bill, I don't hear Tim Scott talking about that when, 9 people were died in Mother Emanuel Church. We're having a hard time getting the background check bill passed and the Charleston loophole, his state.
And not only that, I was sitting here taking some notes when he referenced this notion of Democrats blocking police reform. If I am correct, because we actually carried it on here, what they actually said is, why aren't we discussing this in the Senate Judiciary Committee, where the committee can actually offer amendments to actually improve the bill? Republicans did not want that to happen. They wanted it to happen on the floor. Then Senator Kamala Harris was one of the folks where she pretty much gut checked Senator John Cornyn, both of the members of that at the time of that committee, by saying, if you want to discuss the bill, why are we doing it in the committee? Why do y'all only want to do it out here on the floor? And so that's actually what they were filibustering, was the fact that Republicans did not want to go through the actual process of how bills are actually handled.
Yeah, he has selective memory for sure.
At the outset of Senator Tim Scott's response, you now have the floor. We can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
That's because I was being saved by the ancestors, brother.
There you go. All right.
Hear me cussing. But, Tim Scott, big up to you, brother. You took your time. You didn't sound too bad as you over-enunciated your words. Still, I'm sure, beset by the deep insecurities that were bred in that poverty-stricken room that you were in. Shout out to you for embarrassing your grandfather, for posterity, for trying to model for you something you clearly didn't pick up because you didn't read the Georgia bill. If you think that's what's in it, he had an excuse. What's yours? But what a remarkable, stunning, stereotypical display of stupidity by a pure feckless clown. Tim Scott doing Tim Scott things. But more importantly, as we sweep aside his distraction, it's very clear what the White Nationalist Party's strategy will be. It will be what it continues to be. They are going to work to cement the gerrymander. And I'm glad that Representative Kelly mentioned Hastings, Holland, Fudge, and Richmond, because there's a razor-thin majority now. And as we saw the initial census data come out a couple of days ago, they're going to do that. They're going to try to hold on for these 2 years. And then voter suppression, they're going to hope to flip the House and the Senate. And they're going to vote against everything, all those tax credits, all that job work, the expansion of Medicaid, the M-Home care. They're going to work against child and family support. They're going to forget free community college. They are voting no. And finally, Senator Scott, our dear friend and brother, who could be the man on the ground with a knee on his neck tonight as he leaves wherever he made that speech from. He seems to have thrown in completely, shaking that Django leg for those $400,000 and above folks, and those other people, the people who got that $1 trillion added to their billions, who got that $2 trillion tax cut as he grinned like a black Gerber's baby out there in the White House next to his master, Donald Trump, back in 2017. Shout out, Tim. You're doing a good job. Shake that Django leg.
Brittany, this is a tweet that was posted about 11 minutes ago by Bernice King in response to what Senator Tim Scott said. He is, quote, "America is not a racist country." Her retort, Senator Scott lives in another America.
Well, she hit the nail on the head. This man is a trip. I mean, even when I heard him say cotton to Congress in one lifetime. Look, I am the American dream. But first off, I want this man to sit in a Black Studies class. But more importantly, everything looks like progress when you start our story with enslavement. And that's what I want Tim Scott to get. But Tim Scott is doing Tim Scott. He's doing the work of the white supremacist that he works for, and he is hoping that Americans will continue to invest in this colorblind, individualistic, lift yourself up by the bootstraps ideology, which is certainly not realistic, not our ancestors' dreams. It's a shame. I'm tired of listening to this man, and he certainly wasn't spitting any type of information. It was interesting that he said, the liberals don't have any facts, the Democrats don't have any facts, and this man is representing, the party of fracking, is representing the party that won't put forward gun reforms, is representing the party, that believes in school choice against the majority of what educators argue for. So this man is a whole clown.
Candace, I found something very interesting. He called the Georgia bill a mainstream bill. He talked about how he said, quote, Republicans make it easier to vote, harder to cheat. What's interesting, though, he talked about the voting hours and things along those lines, but the reality is they don't allow for the counties to have the discretion to have their voting hours beginning at 7 a.m., closing at 7 p.m. What they did is they put in uniform voting hours 9 to 5. So therefore, people who have to work, they got to have some other place to vote. What Senator Tim Scott did not say, we talked about, how they expanded early voting. He did not say that they have drastically cut the number of ballot drop boxes, and those drop boxes must be placed inside of voting locations, and which means you can only drop off your absentee ballot when hours are open. So again, he was lying.
Yeah, there's a crime in criminal law called omission. It is an actual crime where you omit facts in order to make things look good for you. So he's committed the crime of omission because once you add those facts that he omitted, it doesn't make any sense in terms of his world. What parallel universe he's living in, I am not sure, but he's leaving out the facts so that he can look like he makes sense. He said something. He said, common sense means common ground, but you have to first start with common sense. How can he deny all of the information, all the bills that are out there, just the hundreds across the country that have been preventing and set out to prevent Black people from voting? It's mind-boggling how he set up there. The fact that he even mentioned that there was no racism in this country when he has spent time writing editorials about how he has been stopped and how he emotes fear when he goes into his car and police are behind him. And as what was already spoken, how he could leave tonight and be stopped because he is a big Black man driving in a suit. It doesn't matter what you have on. So crime by omission is what I say, leaving out the facts to make it look like his story works, which what we all know is that it just doesn't. It doesn't work.
Congo, he said tax cuts will lower wages. I'm confused by that because when I look at the speech of President Joe Biden, he said we're not going to raise the taxes on anybody or a couple making less than $400,000. He said in the speech, the $1 trillion that 650 of the richest billionaires were able to make during COVID. I'm just confused. That's a very small percentage of Americans when he said those who make more than $1 million are going to, but who pay a capital gains rate that is lower than many middle class people. He said that represents a very small percentage of Americans. I'm just trying to understand what the hell is Senator Tim Scott talking about? Because if you're making $400,000 or higher, you're literally in the top of the top of the top in America.
That's right. And the reason we are struggling to understand it is because, as everyone has said tonight, the common pattern is he lying, plain and simple. We already heard what Joe Biden talked about, that $2 trillion that was added from the tax cut of 2017. And as he said, trickle-down economics, it just does not work. People really thought that was going to save the economy. And then he tried to tie what what the last administration did with COVID relief, talking about we got these 5 bipartisan bills, but he didn't talk about the fact that under Steve Mnuchin, much of that money went to people who are their friends. And Mnuchin didn't even want to release the list of people who received that money because people who are struggling at the bottom, small business owners and restaurant owners and the like, were not getting that money. And so again, he's lying, he's making up these stories because he feels like it's going to appeal to a base that hopefully got a little bit of sense if they watch anything of what Joe Biden said. He's just making it all up.
One of the things that Senator Tim Scott did say was he blamed Democrats for blocking his bill last year, saying they filibustered it. But again, we do a fact check here all the time. Democrats, and I remember then Senator Kamala Harris said, no, send it through committee, allow us to offer amendments. They said, but we're not going to allow this bill to go forward for a vote on the floor if we're not able to actually make the bill better. He left that out tonight, but that's actually what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but in the House, we passed it on March 3rd, and since March 3rd, we've been in conversations with a bipartisan group in the House. They have been working with their Senate colleagues, and so again, I'm convinced that we will make headway. You know, there's so much needs to be done, Roland. I mean, if we got every single thing we wanted in this bill, it would still not be enough. And it's really a time in the country for a complete overhaul, a complete difference in view as to how we see policing. You know, when it comes to policing black folks, we get warriors. When it's policing white folks, they get public servants. And we need public servants. We need our community to be protected and served, not treated as though we're in the middle of Baghdad.
I do want to. And so, what do you want the people who are watching and listening to do? Because at the end of the day, look, it's going to take a lot of work. It is April 28th. The anniversary of the murder of George Floyd is May 25th, so that's less than a month. It can get done, but it's going to take pressure. It's going to take folk understanding that you can't just keep prolonging this thing. It can actually get done.
Well, and as you know, Congress can act in 10 days or 10 years. And what determines the difference when it comes to our issues, not corporate issues, but our issues, what makes the difference is public pressure. And so all of the people that listen and follow you on your live broadcast, they need to be calling the senators and tell them that this is a major human rights issue. Roland, if what goes on in the United States, if you pick a country where 3 people died a day from police, we'd be talking about human rights violations and let's impose sanctions. We don't view the murders of black and brown people in the United States as a human rights issue, and we need to look at it that way. And so the only reason the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act exists at all is because of the movement that was generated last year after the world saw him be tortured to death. That generated hundreds of thousands of people on the street. Well, they're not on the street right now. They are on the streets in Minneapolis. They're on the street in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. But we need to have that public pressure to help us get this across the finish line.
And look, look, we were very tough on Senator Tim Scott tonight, but the bottom line is he can lead his party across the finish line. He can. He's working with you, working with Senator Cory Booker, and the bottom line is it was Senator Edward Brooke, a Republican, who helped broker the filibuster, the Fair Housing Act in 1968, and so and I have long said that Senator Tim Scott has a lot more leverage and power in the Republican Party on issues like this than he actually uses. And then if he puts his foot down, he's going to force his party to oppose its only black United States senator. So I'm hopeful that that actually happens.
Yes, and I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that they're going to support him.
All right. Well, whatever you need us to do, simply let us know. We're going to focus on this each and every single day. And so we normally put something at the bottom of our screen. So let us know who folk need to call, who need to put pressure on, because this thing can get done. But you just got to move some folks on just a little bit more quickly than others.
And Roland, has he been on the show?
You know, see, he's not been on the show in about 3 years. So I had him on my TV One show. I welcomed. So I'm still waiting for him to return my text messages. And you know,
well, I'm gonna see him tomorrow. I will tell him. I will encourage him to come on the show.
And let him know. And I'm sure he's probably gonna say, well, you know, Roland's been real tough on me, and you can say, hell, Tim, he kick our ass too. So it ain't like it ain't like it's just about you, because it ain't about no R or no D. It's about black folks. So just let them know. I appreciate it.
I will.
Always great to see you, Congresswoman Karen Bass out of California. Thank you so very much.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends, go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.